Hey, good morning. It's Carl with KB&P, and today we are going to do a maintenance on our Navion RV. So today we're going to change the air filters, the cabin filter, the engine air filter, and the air conditioning filters, and we're going to do an oil change. This is a 2015 Navion, and I will be including a link to all of the filters that we used in the description below. If you have any questions or comments about anything in this video, be sure to leave us a comment. Also, any suggestions for this channel going forward, we'd love to hear from you.
Here's a list of what you will need to perform the maintenance covered in this video. A link for these items is included in the description below. You'll need 13 quarts of Mobil 1 ESP oil. Air conditioner filter. These are disposable and come in packs of 2. A cabin filter, an oil filter, an air filter, a new oil drain plug and gasket, a 16-quart oil drain pan, an oil filter wrench, a torque wrench with a 3/8 drive, a 13mm socket and ratchet, a screwdriver, a T25 Torx bit and driver, paper towels, and today we're also going to add a gallon of diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF.
Okay, so undoubtedly the dirtiest part of this job is going to be the oil change. So we're going to do everything else first while our hands are still clean. So let's do the air filter inside the RV first. Located up here in the ceiling. Very easy, just turn with your fingernail or a screwdriver or a coin. Remove the old air filter. And you can see the type that we're using, you put the green side up. They say to replace it every 90 days of continuous use. So this actually comes in a pack of 2. I like to go ahead and keep one as needed, stored in the RV during trips for when needed. Okay. So we'll just get it in here like this. Okay. And then we're going to put this back up. And done. I like to keep the spare tucked away. Which comes really in handy during a really dirty, dusty trip to be able to change that out while you're on the road. So next is the cabin filter. Very simple to change. You can do it with one hand. Basically pull this puppy out, and it is absolutely filthy from this trip. While you're in here, it's probably good maybe to clean this out as well. It's good to pull out any excess leaves and things while you're at it. You could even run a vacuum cleaner in here if you'd like. There is a little drain plug at the bottom that gets fouled. See, it's got a little valve in here to allow water to escape, and water can't escape if it's full of leaves and jammed up. So let's get that thing cleaned out. There we go. Put that back in. And there's different brands of these cabin filters. Also got a mall one that I'll probably use next time. Be sure to check the instructions just to make sure you're doing it correctly. So on this particular one, the air flows in on the white side and goes out the green side. So similar, the AC is the green is up. Okay. And you can see that just fits in so easily. There's no reason to not change the air filter yourself. It only takes a couple of minutes. Super easy. So let's do the air filter next. Just gonna clean it off. After the last 10,000 miles or so of very dusty travels, things pretty dirty. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. I don't like to introduce dirt into the engine unnecessarily. So the dust isn't so bad, but the any sand granules I'd like to get out of the way. So first off, we're going to remove some of the wiring. I've got a little handy pinch. This is for the air filter. Doing the air filter, we'll remove these clips. Just get them out of the way. Use our screwdriver to remove the turbo inlet. So the air that comes in through the filter goes out and into the turbo here. And we'll make sure to remember to tighten this up, unlike last time. Okay, turbo inlet detached. And now we're going to take out all of these little T25 Torx screws so we can open up the air filter. You can do this a couple of ways. You can do it by hand like this. Okay, you take them all. Fortunately, they kind of stay in once they're loose, so it's unlikely that you'll lose these. Okay, this guy is kind of hard to get to, so we'll do it by hand. Okay, just loose. You can also attach the torque bit to a drill just to loosen them. I'm not going to tighten them all the way down with this when I put it back because I don't want to strip anything. I'll lift this off. Let's take a look and see how this thing looks. Ooh, pretty dirty. Like some bugs got in there. Okay, lift this out carefully. Okay. Pretty dirty, so you can see it's definitely needs to be changed. I'm going to clean out this air box too, and I'll let you know the first time that I did a air filter change on this after we bought this RV used is that it had a chunk of chewed up wood and rat droppings in here. So this can actually, the air box can actually become a nice little home for mice and rats. So going through and doing this every so often is not a bad idea. Keep things nice and clean. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. All right, let's put that new air filter in. So this time I'm just throwing in a STP air filter. You know, you can get these locally at your auto parts stores, or you can order it online. And I'll put a link to the one that I ordered online. Okay, gasket goes up top. Let's just drop it in. Okay. Sit it down inside the box. A little bit. Okay. I think that's good. We just don't want any short circuiting. Put the air box cover back on. Notice that when you put it in, it's got these little tabs here that hook to the back. So you'll do those first. You'll get these little tabs connected in. So just slide that back. Make sure that all the screws line up. Okay. I'm going to tighten these by hand, but I'm going to get them started with the drill. Again, like I said before, you You can do this all by hand. You don't need to use a drill. Doesn't save you that much time. Doing it by hand. Again, 25 Torx bit here, and just put them in here and tighten them up. This one back here, don't forget, that one's just going to be easier to get by hand anyway. Make sure you get that. No reason to over tighten these, just get them seated. And hook up your wiring again. Make sure they snap into place. Okay. There's not an audible snap there, but when you put it on there, it does grab. And then don't forget to tighten up this turbo inlet back here. So now we're going to tighten up the turbo inlet, which I failed to do last time I did an oil change, and I threw a code, as some of you on the View Navion site might remember, as we began our Florida trip back in February. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, why did I throw a code? Opened up the hood, and it was self-evident. It was just turbo inlet wasn't connected. Important to come back and check your work. What I do with all my vehicles before doing an oil change is run the engine for a few minutes and get the oil temperature up a bit. So let's do that first. So we're going to let it warm up, and then we'll turn it off and we'll start the oil change. So as I've mentioned before, the drain plug on these Sprinter RVs is very accessible. It's, it's basically right. It's at the front and easy to get to. It's a 13 millimeter. Okay. All right, so we've loosened it with the torque wrench to have a little extra leverage. Hey, how about that? Again, it's really important to have a good drip pan. This is a 16 quart. You can get it at AutoZone, Walmart. So while that continues to drain, we are going to now work our way down to this cap here. I'm going to try to do it without pulling this, but if I do, this is not a big deal to pull this air hose out of the way. But I don't think we need to. Some instructions say to do it, but I'm going to try it without it today. Let's see how that works. So we're going to be using this tool right here, and I'll include the link. Got this off of Amazon. Works for Mercedes, Dodge, Jeep. It's a 3-liter diesel oil filter wrench with a 3/8 drive. Okay, so that's what we're going to use today. That just goes over the top. We'll use our 3/8 drive on top of that. Okay. Now that it's loose, let's go ahead and get the smaller ratchet on it. Like we're there. Okay. Okay. And we're going to pull this filter out now. So this is the oil filter cover that goes over the oil filter. The oil filter sits inside of a canister. So basically you've got 2 gaskets in here. We're going to replace this gasket, and what's interesting is this gasket here, it doesn't sit up against the mating surface like you might think. there's actually a groove a little ways down that it sits in. So let me show you that. We're going to pry that off carefully. There. You can see the groove right there. See that groove? That's where you want to put the O-ring. So we're going to take the old O-ring off and throw it away. Okay, we'll throw that away. And we're going to put the new O-ring on. First off, we're going to clean up after ourselves a little bit here with this oil mess I've made. So it comes with two new gaskets, and it comes with this large gasket and this small gasket. And what we're going to do is we're going to set it on that groove right there. So I'll put this on, and we'll begin to move this gasket down, or this O-ring, I guess. And we're going to move it down until it hits that groove. Okay, there it is. All right, very important. That gasket goes in that groove, not against the mating surface. Okay, now this little gasket goes on the end here, and so it's going to go, we're going to put it on there is a little groove for it too, so we need to make sure it's in there. So get it right. There we go. See? It goes right there in that groove. Okay. Now we're ready for the oil filter. Okay. I don't think there's an up and or down on these. I'm going to put the words up on this one. And just kind of push it down until it seats. You can hear that click. It is installed. Okay, gasket in the right place. So now that we've got our oil filter set up on the cap, we're going to install it. I just want to bring your attention that it's 25 Newton meters to set torque on it. So we're going to bring this guy back in. Drop it down, and then we're going to hand tighten it. Okay, clean off that cap a little bit. Again, we'll use this this tool again, this oil cap tool. It goes on top. Come back in here. Time to put the torque wrench on it. I'm going to set it at 25 Newton meters. So that's 25 Newton meters. New drain plug in the gasket. Again, using our torque wrench with the 13mm socket, and we've set it at 22 foot-pounds or 30 Newton meters. There it is. So it's not overly tight. Okay. So another pro tip is to use one of these funnels. This is a super quick fill funnel by Flow Tool, and the reason why they're nice is, hey, you know, we don't always have the steadiest hands, and I end up spilling some of the oil now and then. Sometimes I get it right, but sometimes I don't. So this just makes it a lot easier. Basically, I just dump it all in. Run it and check for leaks. So let's see how it goes. All right, no leaks. Now we're going to check the dipstick. And oh, by the way, this isn't like a gasoline vehicle. When you change the oil on your Sprinter RV, it immediately turns black. So don't expect it to look like honey. So now we're going to go ahead and add a gallon of DEF to the unit. I try to add a gallon every 1,000 to 2,000 miles. I've never gotten any kind of information on the dash telling me that I was low on DEF. Now I will say that I like to carry these 1 gallon DEF containers. They cost a little bit more per gallon, but you know, I'm 60 and it's a lot easier to handle the 1 gallon container than the 2.5 gallon box. You know, it just makes no sense to me to be dripping that stuff, and I can carry a couple gallons on board with me. And you can order them online too, and I'll include a link down below on where to order these. So again, I use a dedicated funnel for the DEF to carry with me. Just don't like to have drips and spills. Hope you enjoyed this maintenance video on the Navion RV. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below. Until we see you next time, happy trails.